Hi, my name is Michelle Gay, and I am Teacher of the Year at Parkway High School. When filling out this paperwork, and it asked me the question, what work best describes you as a leader and or innovator, I just have to immediately go back to my story of when I was 14 years old and the first ever mission trip that I went on. I went to Mexico, and it completely changed my life. I obviously was introduced to a new language, which hence the reason why I'm a Spanish teacher, but also a new culture. I saw things that I'd never seen before, as far as poverty level and the way that people lived. And I was intrigued. And so that one trip changed my life. And I continue to go back on these trips year after year. In my high school days, I went anytime from like 2 to 3 times a year. And then in college, I went from maybe like 3 to 4 times, maybe even 5 times a year as time allowed. And so with each trip, obviously, I was able to be introduced to not only, becoming fluent in the Spanish language, but also just being introduced to this culture and the way that people live in general. And so when I was 21 years old, the pastor that had been taking me on these trips, and other people as well, he had passed away. And so at that age, I basically inherited this entire ministry. And so, God was faithful. And so that has really impacted the way that I teach, because as I started leading groups to Mexico and what eventually became Nicaragua and Bolivia and Guatemala, this impacted my classroom, because as I was introduced to new concepts of this culture, I was also able to bring that into my classroom. So, what I experienced over 15 years of doing mission work and 72 different mission trips and being completely integrated in the Spanish language and culture, that has directly impacted my students. We study every single day. Obviously, they learn a lot of Spanish, but more than anything, they learn how people live. They also learn, how to be sympathetic and empathetic. And what that means as people come in and the way that they live might be a little bit different than the way that we are used to, and accepting that and knowing that, it's okay to look different. It's okay to maybe celebrate things differently. And I believe that over my 16 years of teaching that I've had several students that really, their lives have been changed. Many of them are Spanish teachers. Many of them, have gone on to travel the world. A lot of them have minored in Spanish. And so I do believe that if I was just teaching a language, I don't think that would have translated the same. But because I did have all of those experiences of so many mission trips and so much culture and experiences that I personally had, and I just naturally bring that into my classroom. It's hard to teach something when you don't and not bring it up. And so anyway, I think that that's exactly what has changed my profession for me personally and my life.